Good afternoon. We will be starting the presentation in 2 minutes. We're going to give those that are joining another couple of minutes so that we have a full audience. Thank you.
We ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Rocking and Rolling, Why Infant Teachers Are So Important. Okay. My name is Jenny Sanchez. I'm the Quality and Education Coaching Specialist from Early Learning Coalition of Broward. And this afternoon, I have the special privilege to work with my co-presenter and supervisor, Miss Amy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon. My name is Amy Hamley, and I am one of the Quality and Education Coaching Managers at the Early Learning Coalition of Broward, and it is my pleasure to present with one of our coaches today.
Okay, I want to say a little bit about myself, and I have 25 years of experience in early childhood education. I have experience working too as a coordinator, curriculum, director, coach, COP facilitator. I'm a reliable observer in infant, toddler, and preschool. I was working in management as an adjunct professor, monitor, mentor, technical assistant, advisor committee, accreditation, leadership, national presenter, and international presenter, and supervision, marketing, planning, and organizational skills. My bachelor is in early childhood, my master is in science and pre-K primary, and I have a doctorate in education too. And my special philosophy is I love to learning all the time. That's the reason I say for myself is never stop learning, because life never stops teaching you. I love my family. I have 2 little children. We don't want to say too little, but they are 21 years old, and my son is 12. I'm married for 26 years, and I have a lovely dogs. And thank you this evening for this training.
So I am Amy Hamley. I have 25 years of experience in education and nonprofit. I have a bachelor's in elementary and special ed and a master's in educational business administration. I've held multiple positions in the field of education, and all of them allow me to enjoy what I do, which is causing the impact of quality for the life of the children of the community and advocating for children of all abilities. I am a proud Cuban Jersey girl who spends most of my free time enjoying life with family and friends, and especially with the most important guy in my life, my autism rock star son, Jacob.
Thank you, Amy.
So today's webinar housekeeping, please keep in mind that you have a tiny orange rectangle with a white arrow. This is how you will be able to access your panel. Questions, you can scroll down in the panel and see the questions box. We will be asking some reflections, and also we will have some polls that if you cannot vote during the polls, you can always post your answer in that questions box. Today, we have Miss Tiffany Bernard, who is my co-manager. She will be helping us with that questions box.
Thank you, Miss Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
You're welcome. Hello, everyone.
And your certificate, please note that it will be emailed after the webinar. We do have some handouts for you today. We have 5 handouts that we will probably reference throughout the presentation, but you are welcome to, at any time, click on the handouts, and then you can download each individual handout at a time. For all of our June trainings, just a friendly reminder that these are for in-service hours only. We do still have some stipend eligible professional development in the form of mini grants. For information on those, you will have to access that at our website, www.elcbroward.org, and there you will find all of the information you need regarding those mini grants. Again, the email will be, the certificate will be emailed to you at the email address you used for this registration. And if you are not using the GoToWebinar app, either on your computer or other electronic device, including your phone, you will not be marked as attended. Therefore, if you're calling in, you will not be marked in attendance. However, you also have the option, if for whatever reason your device or your computer is unable to provide you with audio, you can call in to 954-377-1234, and using access code 123456789, you will be able to use your phone as the audio.
Okay, training objectives for this evening is the number 1, we have highlight the importance of infant teacher. Number 2, describe how teachers can have a positive impact on the development of infants. Number 3, define the role of a reflective teacher in an infant classroom. Number 4, learn strategies to become an effective infant teacher. We want to start with the first statements. All children, especially infants, need a childcare setting where they can thrive with caregivers who understand how to promote their healthy growth and development. Most infants spend some part of their day with caregivers other than the parents. That means the child sometimes spends from 6 o'clock in the morning until 7 p.m. or 6 o'clock in the evening. Educators should make the most of teacher-child interaction to support infant social, emotional, cognitive, and language and literacy development. Rocking and rolling, why infant teachers are so important. This is the topic for this evening. The act of teaching is technically defined as an activities that impact knowledge of a skill. We find this definition for www.vocabulary.com. Infants learn from the environment. That means how important is that an environment with a rich environment for the children. And the people in it, so important for teachers to feel confident that the activities that they are using are developmentally appropriate for the age of the children in their groups. Infants learning happen through everyday interaction and impact so much this interaction. Good teaching practice. Good teaching practice expands children's understanding of concepts by offering new information, extending learning opportunities and the age appropriateness, ways on observing children existing knowledge based on development and age and stage. One of the teaching practices is called direct or explicit teachings, in which the teacher gives the children a specific information to build or breed their knowledge in a particular area of development and interaction. Now we want to talk about effective teaching. In infant setting, effective teaching practice and instructional strategies reflect thoughtful, intentional interaction and activities teachers use to engage infant children. This interaction reflects the teacher's unique relation with a child in the care and build up to the knowledge and observation of each child's development, allows her to take advantage of learning opportunities that emerge through daily routines.
So how do we extend children's learning in the infant classroom? We want to make sure that we provide a variety of toys for the children to explore. As an example, some of those toys may be things that go in and out, busy boxes, blocks, nesting cups. We want to make sure that non-mobile infants can reach and explore them. And we also want to make sure that we're rotating materials. We're changing the materials to offer new experiences for the babies. In the infant classroom, it's good to slow down, wait, and watch what the children are doing and make the most of those opportunities to extend their learning. It's also important to be observing their verbal and nonverbal responses so that we can start promoting that back and forth conversational interactions. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But you can ask questions that make babies wonder. So an example would be, oh, what's happening? You're touching the busy box. I wonder what will happen when you push that button. Offer specific information or guidance when children need help understanding concepts. As an example, helping babies develop the understanding of cause and effect. Look at that, when you move your hand this way, the rattle makes a sound. You want to constantly be labeling things, colors, shapes, sounds, sizes, letters, numbers, and feelings, because this promotes a language-rich environment, and you're going to be narrating children's play and describing children's exploration and discoveries, which is named, has different names in the world of class that we will be touching upon a little bit further in the presentation. It would be self and parallel talk. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You want to connect descriptive words with nouns while you're narrating the children's actions. Sally, you're holding a small, soft ball that rolls slowly, and Joey has the large rubber ball that bounces very high. We're going to take a little poll now, but before we take the poll, I want you to please take a look at all of the pictures on this slide because the question that we're going to ask is regarding effective teaching practices. So take a moment to observe the pictures and look out for what you think could be effective teaching practices. Once I launch the poll, you can vote. And if you're unable to vote, please make sure you put your response, any comment that you have, into the question box. I will now launch the poll. So what practice of effective teaching do you see in these images? Do you see intentional interaction, observation of child development, using learning opportunities that emerge in the routine, or all of the above? We have about almost 50% voted. Let's see if we can get to 60%. Okay, I'm going to give another 30 seconds. For the sake of time, in 10 seconds, we will close the poll. Okay, we are closing the poll, sharing the results. And yes, everybody's right, because we saw a little bit of everything in there. So there was no wrong answer. Thank you so much for voting and for being able to identify some of these effective strategies in these images. Now we're going to show you a video that we feel is reflective of how important the infant teacher is. In the video, there were so many beautiful ways that infant teachers were described. And for me, the most beautiful one is creator of wonder, because you're planting the seeds in these little brains of all the possibilities and encouraging that curiosity that's going to set them up for lifelong learning.
Okay. After we see this beautiful video, was so amazing because we find a lot of characteristics as a great thing the teachers they doing. Like Amy say, it's too many things. But today we want to be focused on the characteristics of effective teacher. We will cover passion, perseverance, willingness to take risks. The teacher, they are pragmatists, patient, they have flexibility, respect, creativity, love of learning, authenticity, high energy, a sense of humor. But today we want to cover the most meaningful characteristics like a passion. That's the first one. We say the teacher who has passion, it's probably the more than anything else. Teacher report that it's important to have passion for what you do. That's the reason we say infant teachers are excited to be guided in a baby's development. And the baby's development. And patient provide infant care and hard work with many emotional challenges. Of course, immense joys. Patient is essential working well with babies. Infant teachers delight in observing each of their babies, discovering the unique temperament. That's the moment we say every child is unique and special. And responding to their individual needs, this focus on observation and knowledge on how important these early years help infants teacher be patient. Flexibility. Infants demand that their teacher be able to deal well with the changes and unexpected turns. That is, infant teacher need to be able to switch gears at the moment's notice and find whatever work for the situation at hand. Respect. This is something so special because respect for infants and their families is basic to being a good early childhood teacher. Some would say these characteristics are similar to having an appreciation of diversity and intentionally incorporating elements of the baby's families in the classroom. Creativity. It's take creativity to teach in a physical environment that is less the ideal for where resources are limited. When we say resources are limited, this is something like I want to be focused. If you don't have a construction paper, the color green, you want to get a little piece of construction paper white and you want to paint it the color green and you want to have already green. And most of all, it's take creativity to make learning fun by knowing when to change things up for the babies. High energy. High energy. Babies respond positively to teachers with high energy levels, valuing the enthusiasm. That means we encourage every teacher to sing to the children, read to the children, dance to the children with your energy and enthusiastic. This does not mean being hyper, but it means keeping your motivation through the day. Keep your motivation all day long. Now we want to have a nice, beautiful video regarding to the role of reflective teachers in infant classroom. Please, if you have any comment, you can put in the question box.
Thank you for your patience. The video was a little longer than what we usually use for our presentations, but we found that some of the highlights of it were so worthwhile to explore. So I wanted to just bring up a few of those, which is open-mindedness. And that is something that we believe is important to kind of examine our preconceived notions. One of the handouts that we have prepared for you is one that talks a little bit about that. It's an article, but it talks about how sometimes we think children should sleep a certain way, children should be held a certain way, children should be fed a certain way. And those are preconceived notions, kind of beliefs and biases that we come with because either that's how we've always done it or that's how we were raised to believe is the appropriate, and being kind of mindful of that to be respectful so that our environment is set up in a way that is children are able to explore. So I thought it was interesting when she talked about safety. I saw those Christmas lights in the video and I thought to myself, wow, that I probably would have thought that was an unsafe activity. However, watching how they made sure that the babies were supervised the whole time, if anything would have happened, they all would have been there. Even the non-mobile infant that was in like the bouncy chair was able to manipulate the lights and participate in that activity. When she talked about how sometimes we think children are too young to participate in some of these explorations and activities. And again, it's modifying them to make them appropriate and safe for the children. And of course, you always want to involve the families and make sure that they know what type of activities you're going to be having in your classroom. If it's something that's a little bit out of the box so that they can understand, and if they have questions, you can be ready to answer those questions for them. Responsibility, I read in the article, and I love this phrase, the infant teacher as researcher. You are a researcher, infant teachers. You're curious about what your infants are doing, watching them closely, looking for those nonverbal cues. She mentioned how they can't express, unlike preschoolers can express to you, maybe older toddlers can express to you what they're interested in. Infants have to show you what they're interested in through their body language, through those nonverbal cues. So we want to make sure we're documenting what activities they gravitate to, and take lots of pictures, and that can be a basis of determining where they are, not only developmentally, but what is it that interests them, so that we can create activities that build those skills. And we have to make sure we're changing the environment around, and that the materials encourage new play and learning possibilities, but we're also supporting them with their developmental milestones. So we don't want to give them an activity that is not appropriate, age appropriate, or developmentally appropriate, but we want to make sure that we're watching when those milestones come, because at the infant stage, they come fast. And so we want to make sure that we're ready to change up what we're doing to accommodate for that. And last but not least, she spoke about wholeheartedness and making sure that you are 100% in it. You have to be an active participant in babies' play, share in their exploration. And this also in the article says, trust babies to lead in their learning. We want to trust our babies. They're going to show us what they're interested in. And most important, have fun. Sing, dance, be silly with the children, and that will help you keep that energy up all day. Infants are active learners. They have the capacity to store vast amounts of information. They're making meaning of that information through their everyday interactions, and they're experimenting with the world around them in order to build understanding. This is another video that's a little bit long, but it's more, it talks about parents, but all of the activities can be activities that are done in the classroom with your infants to help build their brains. And this one is for the very young infants, 0 to 3. But again, a lot of the activities can be adapted to older infants. Here's a quote from 2000, so I'm going to adjust a little bit the quote because of the time frame that we're in. Of all that brain science has taught us over the last 50 years, one of the clearest findings is that early brain development is directly influenced by babies' day-to-day interactions with their caregivers. Even before birth, babies have a built-in expectation that adults will be available and care for their needs. In one of your handouts, we provided talks about caring relationships and the brain during the attachment period. So we wanted to just highlight two. During the time of birth to 9 months, young babies need relationships with caregivers who are sensitive to their needs and messages, timely in responding, especially to messages of distress. So we understand that if you're one teacher with 4 babies and there's a lot going on, you're changing somebody and another baby is crying, obviously you're not going to stop mid diaper change, but verbally respond to the child. Let them know that you're there, that you know that they're uncomfortable or something's going on with them, and that you will be attending to them as soon as you can, and tell them why you are not able to respond to them right away. Accurate in reading their cues. In the video, she kind of highlights that sometimes babies are tired and we need to recognize those cues because that might not be a good time to introduce a new toy or play with a different material. They are tired and it's time to soothe them and allow for them to go into their natural pattern of sleep. We also need to understand appropriate levels of stimulation. When they become overstimulated, then they can get cranky because they don't know how to yet. It's not in their, they're not developmentally there where they can get their feelings back under control. So we have to really play that balance of knowing when to do things that get them very excited and when to provide more soothing time for the babies. Between 7 to 18 months is a time during brain development that is the exploration stage. And it's where the infants are starting to build a primitive sense of self. So they're starting to understand that they are, in a sense, a person and that they have these needs. So some of the things that they come to expect is either I am listened to or not. That what I choose to do is valued or it isn't. How I express my emotions is accepted or isn't. I'm allowed to explore or not. Mostly my needs are met or not. And that is so important. And again, another further evidence of the importance of caregivers in that early stage and why infant teachers are so important. The thoughts, emotions, and shared experiences that the developing brain processes in the interactions that they have with their caregivers has a profound impact on how they view themselves and their actions. So your reactions to their actions starts to help them develop their sense of self. And that could be positive or it could be negative, depending on how they are attended to. We also provided a handout that provides you a strategy called 5 Steps for Brain Building, Serve, and Return. The 5 steps are to notice the serve and share the child's focus of attention. So what is the serve? The child may be pointing to something, making a sound, or their facial expression has changed. They're moving their arms and legs. That is the serve. So now we're going to focus on the same thing that the child is focused on. Then we're going to return the serve by supporting and encouraging. So we're going to say something like, I see. wow, you're pointing to the ball. Let's bring it closer so that you can touch it. That would be the return. We're going to give it a name. So when you see that the child is giving you the serve, you're going to name what it is they're seeing. You're going to name it the same way if they were looking at an inanimate object, or if they're doing an action. For example, if they're batting their feet, yes, those are your feet. So we're providing a label for the child. Then we're going to take turns and wait. We're going to hope that this interaction can keep going back and forth until the child is ready to move on to something else. So as long as they want to engage in this back and forth exchange, we should continue responding to them. So then it's important to know when it's time to end. So when they let you know that it's time to end is when their focus then shifts to something else. So I hope that you can download the handouts. If for whatever reason you're unable to download the handouts, please put that in the questions box, and Tiffany will let us know so that we can email you the handout. And now we're going to take another poll. Jenny?
Okay, this poll is, let's think about it. Which play a more important role in brain development? Nature, genes, or nature environment? That's the question we will answer in the poll right now.
And again, if you are unable to vote in the poll, please go ahead and add your answer to the questions box. Okay, we are almost at 50% voting. Once we reach 50%, we will close the poll to be respectful of your time.
Okay, we have 50% look like, no?
Yeah, so we will be closing. And the majority believe that nurture environment is what plays the most important role in brain development. So Jenny?
Yes, I'm thinking this is the wonderful answer everybody did it, because the caregivers, they are the builder of the children's brain. Okay, generally speaking, genes are responsible for the basic wiring plan for forming all the cell's neurons. We have all the neurons like you see here in the example, how the brain is connected with all these emotions. At the same time, a general connection between different brain regions while experiencing is responsible for fine-tuning those connections. Everything is connected to one each other, helping each child adapt to the particular environment. Geographical, we can say, where the child is located, like we see so far in the video, like the mother is interacting with the child all the time, making ideas and connecting to the child with the simple activities. Cultural, no matter, you can talk to the children, respect to the child as a unique and special. The brain of the child is like a sponge. Everything is ready for learning. Like a family, how much the mother is attached and connected to the child. child, the school, and the peer group, and which is belong to the child. Attachment and bonding. The window of opportunities for optimal attachment. When we're talking attachment, is something like the children's first attachment is with the parent and the mother. And later on, the caregiver, they is the second attachment. A bonding occurs from birth to the first 3 years old. It turns out what the attachment or bonding is one of the most critical factors in the future development. When a caregiver responds to a baby's need in a consistent way, a baby starts to form a sense of a trust. I want to trust you because you care about me, you love me, you connected with me, you interacted with me, you respect me. When you change my diaper, you say, please, may I change your diaper? You wash my hands, you sing to me, I trust you. Bonding refers to the ongoing relation of attachment between a child and a caregiver. Attachment grows out to the thousands of interactions between child and her caregiver. It's built across the time. That means every moment is a teachable moment. Every moment we can build in this attachment and bonding. We have a question here. Please, we want to ask you if it's possible. Everybody can answer in the comments in the question box. The question is here. So what happened to an infant when the teacher changes frequently? This question we want to leave you. You can answer for us. And that wanna be nice if you wanna put it in the question box.
So as we have mentioned before earlier in the presentation, we are using the CLASS tool as a marker of quality in all of our school readiness sites. And the CLASS does have an infant tool which has one dimension, which is responsive caregiving. And within that responsive caregiving domain, there are 4 dimensions. I'm just going to briefly go over it because I know that there have been other webinars that have been focused on that CLASS tool. And if you wanted more information specifically about CLASS, you can refer back to on our web page. We have the recordings of those webinars, and we also have available the My Teachstone subscription, which you can reach out to us and we will connect you with Ms. Gordia Ross or Ms. Beatrice Hillier, and they will be the ones to provide you with a subscription to the My Teachstone. But within relational climate, we're talking about things such as proximity and eye contact, your expression, your enthusiasm, respect for the infant, using a calm voice and a gentle approach. Basically, all of the positive things that we want to see. And teacher sensitivity is being aware of the cues. So there's a lot of overlap in all of these different strategies and all of these research-based models regarding what is important for infants. So definitely being aware of their cues, being responsive to their needs, and ensuring that they are comfortable at all times. Even when they're uncomfortable, we want to let them know that we're aware they're uncomfortable and we're going to do our best to make them comfortable. Facilitated exploration is having that joint experience, engaging with the child in the play, having the play be infant focused, again, following their lead. What is it that they're interested in, and being right there with them, and expanding the experiences for the infant. So we're encouraging that learning at this early stage. And of course, early language support, which is talking. The best thing is to talk to them all day. That self-talk, describing what it is that you're doing. We touched upon that a little bit. Labeling objects, giving them vocabulary, even if they can't say the word, but they're listening, they're hearing it. It's going to help build that language part of their brain. supporting their communications. They are communicating. In the videos we've seen how they respond, and their responses are using those sounds that, you know, we can imitate, and that's how we expand on it. And then providing those extension, modeling, turn taking in what would eventually is going to turn into a dialogue. So that's just a little bit about class and how it ties into all of these aspects of the importance of being an infant teacher. Communication. So I'm just going to speak briefly about how important this communication is, and it's pretty much just piggybacking off of what I just said for language modeling. So we want to make sure that those rich moments of early language learning for children is when the caregiver is sharing the attention on the same thing. The caregiver is talking about what the child has focused their attention on, and knowing when it's time to shift that focus. But that creates opportunities to learn that stem directly from what the child is interested in. It's starting to grow that social communication. So again, they're eventually going to learn what a conversation is. But for right now, the conversation is them being able to make their sounds, and the teacher imitating the sounds and expanding on that, especially when the sound starts to kind of sound like the word that they actually mean, giving them that word so that they can start building up that vocabulary in their brain. Learning to communicate is a unique process and specific to each infant, toddler, and family. So we just wanted to highlight that. Children, obviously, Jenny has said that they are unique and special, and they are. They're very unique. So their environment plays a big role, and may also contribute to challenges that they may have to communication. So we also want to be mindful of if we see that there is if the children are presenting with maybe some issues in their ability to communicate. And I will only speak from personal experience and share with you a small personal anecdote. I knew my child, my son, had a communication issue. He later had a diagnosis, but there were signs that were there very early on that he was struggling with communication. And as a first-time mom, despite the fact that I had a degree in special ed, I didn't really see those signs because I hadn't spent a lot of time around babies. Once I became a director and I spent a lot of my time in the infant classroom, I looked back and saw how many missed opportunities I had as a mother, that I didn't realize my child had these communication issues, because very early on, infants are able to communicate a lot in their nonverbal way and with the sounds that they make. So I just wanted to share that with you as, you know, an example of how important it is to really be paying attention to what's happening with each individual infant.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing your nice, great experience and personal experience. That want to be help a lot, because one of the famous articles say people learning more with experience and learning more example, and thank you for that. Now we want to go to the critical competency. The 0 to 3 critical competency for infant toddler educators define the specific evidence-based teaching methods and practice that support and nurture young children's social, emotional, cognitive, and language and literacy development and learning. Here we have 3 areas we want to be so focused. The area number 1 is supporting social emotional development. When we're talking about this social emotional development, it's talking about building the warm and positive and nurturing relation with the children, provide consistent and responsive caregiving, supporting emotional expression and regulation. That's coming now, the self-regulation we want to have to the children, promoting socialization, guiding behavior, promoting children's sense and identity and belonging. Where I coming from? This is something. Like, and now we want to go to the area 2, is the supporting cognitive development. Cognitive development is facilitating exploration and concept development. Building meaningful curriculum. This is something like, whatever curriculum the program use need to be developmentally appropriate practice. It's the promoting, imitating symbolic representation of play. Play is important for the child because play is the vehicle of learning. Supporting reasoning and problem solving. Now we have the area number 3, supporting language and literacy development. Promoting communication and exchanging and expanding expression on reception, language vocabulary, and promoting early literacy. It's so important. We need to have this, and we need to be focused on these critical competencies. And we have two as a handout. That would be nice if you can have it in your classroom and you work with that. Thank you, Amy.
Yes, as Jenny said, we did include in the handouts the slide on class and the critical competencies that can also be found on the 0 to 3 website, which we will share our resources at the end of the presentation so that you can take a picture or jot them down in case you want to refer back to that. So how can I create a much better environment in my classroom? You're already doing it. You're already doing it, and you just have to keep doing it. Talking, singing, reading, playing, getting messy, exploring with the children, and again, being responsive to them. We have our last video, and if you've been in some of the other webinars that I have facilitated, I always bring out this video. It's like my oldie but goodie. I love this video, so I hope that you enjoy it as well. This one's short. So we wanted to share, based on that video, 13 things that babies learn when we read to them. So we're teaching babies that books contain wonderful stories and songs that they can hear over and over again. At the end, the teacher asks the child if he wants to read the story again. Reading is a time when I am held and loved. He must have been having such a great time being held by his teacher while she's helping him manipulate the book and enjoy that book. You tell me the names of my body parts, the sounds different animals make, and the animals go to sleep too. During the reading, she was pointing out the parts of the body of the duck and telling him what his wings were for. Some books are especially enjoyable, and I can hear them again and again. Every time we read, I hear how words are used, listen to rich language, and learn new words. When she asked him to touch in the sensory book the area of the duck's belly area, and she used the word fluffy. That's a new word probably. When she asked him to touch the paw, and it was rough. The letters, words, and pictures you point to all have meaning. She would point, and then he would point, and she would label. I can explore how books are the same and how they are different by tasting and touching them. The whole time she was encouraging him to touch the book, to manipulate the book, to feel the different textures. She used those words, fluffy, rough, smooth. There's always something hiding behind the flap. My favorite pictures are always in the same place in a book. Well, this wasn't a flap book, but they love those too. This was more of a texture book. But yes, the pictures are always going to be in the same place in the book, so it provides that sense of security that they know they can open that page and that duck will be there on that same page. Listening is part of communication and language and includes listening and understanding. Things come in different colors, sizes, and shape. It's fun to play with language and explore rhythm, rhyme, and humor. That book didn't particularly demonstrate that, but they love to hear how we can play with language and using silly words and rhyming words. When I do something, another thing happens. If I point at a picture, my mom or dad or my teacher will tell me its name. If I drop the book, we might stop reading. I love books, and one day I will love to read on my own.
Now with these all great ideas Amy shared with us, now we have here the rocking and rolling, why infant teachers are so important. Now we have the recipe for a perfect infant teacher. All these teachers need. The ingredients are 3/4 pint of care. We need to care about the children's. 1/2 tablespoon of cheerful. We need to enjoy in the classroom. 2 gallons of love. We need to love the little ones. 1/2 a cup of kindness. We need to be nice and sweet with them. 1 tablespoon of happy. We need to be smiling all the time. 1/4 supportive. We need to support when the children's having. And 3/4 quarts of patience. We need to have a patience with them. 1 cup of artists. We need to develop in us this creativity on us and with the children's. 3/4 pint of energetic. We need to have the energy and enthusiastic until the end of the day. And 3 gallons of calm. And the directions are mix all the ingredients. Add an extra sprinkle of love. Love, love, love. Bunch of kindness. We need to be kind. Once you put all of it together, you make a perfect teacher, and you are the perfect teacher. Touch your heart and say, you are the perfect teacher. The resources we used for this presentation was from Developmentally Appropriate Practice in Early Childhood Program. We have here the website link. It's www.nyc.org. 0 to 3 Growing Brain from birth to 5 years old. We have the link here, www.0to3.org. Teachtone, infant and toddler class. And we have to the same, the link. Talk with the baby. We have talkmybaby.org, the link, and CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, www.cde.gov, and Journal of Pediatrics Healthcare. We have here the link too, and the Head Start and Early Head Start Childhood Learning Knowledge Center. We have the link, and the 30 millions were building a child's brain by Dana Susskind, doctor. That was a nice, beautiful information we find from these resources, and you can go back and review it for yourself too. If you have any question, any comments, please write it in the question box. Miss Amy and myself, we want to be willing to help you. If you need the contact information from us, the contact information, we have it here too, and
Yes,
we want to
it'll
share.
it'll be in the next slide. I just wanted to use this opportunity to plug one of our upcoming webinar series. We haven't put out a calendar yet, and there will be a presentation coming soon. I believe, Tiffany, if you're still on, when is our Growing Brain presentation? Is that next week? Okay, maybe.
Yes, the Growing Brain presentation is next week. I'll pull it up now so I can tell you exactly when it is. So you can take note of that. Like Amy was saying, it's definitely a great presentation to attend. It's an overview, and it'll let you know what exactly to expect in the upcoming series. So that training is called Relationships and Environment, an overview of the growing brain, and it's going to take place on Tuesday, June 30th, from 1 o'clock, the same time, 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yes, I encourage you all, if you haven't already done so, and if there's still room in the training, to sign up for the Growing Brain overview. We are fortunate to have two trainers on the Growing Brain. And again, this is kind of going to be a preview of a series that we will be starting in August, Tiffany.
Yes, and I just actually put the link in the questions box to the training on Tuesday in case anyone is interested and would like to attend. So you can just copy that link and you'll be able to register if there is still room for the training.
Thank you, Tiffany. So yes, we encourage you to attend that. That will be more in depth about the Growing Brain. And again, it's a preview of the series that will start in August. It's going to be on Monday nights from 7 to 8:30, and it's going to be a series of, I believe, 14 sessions. So it is, we're not going to make you commit to sitting on each of the sessions unless you absolutely want to and there's room for you. But we do encourage you to definitely keep your eyes out for that those presentations that are going to be great. Jenny?
Okay, please, like we say, any comment, any question, that wanna be nice if you put in the question box. If I will be happy to answer. Of course, Miss Amy and Miss Tiffany too, we will answer you quickly. If you have any question, my email is jsanchez@elcbroward.org, and Miss Amy Aimori email is aimori@elc.org, and training info. Right now, you have here the information, ELC training at elcbroward.org, and we want to be so happy to share the information.
And we wanted to close with a quote. This is from Dr. Maria Montessori, and it says, "It is not enough for the teacher to love the child. She must first love and understand the universe. She must prepare herself and truly work at it." And I wanted to say to all of you today that you love your children and you are doing the work. You are seeking to continue to grow and prepare yourself to ensure that our littlest learners, our infants, are able to receive the highest quality of care and the best foundation to be laid for their future. And I'm going to use the word again because I just love it. You are all creators of wonder, and always remember that. And you are the researchers of what is best for the babies that you work with.
Thank you so much. Was a pleasure for myself to work with all of you. One thing I want to say to everybody, you are the great teacher. You are a child's building child's brain. And this afternoon was a pleasure to work with Amy. And thank you so much. Any question, I will be happy to answer all these questions. And thank you, Amy. It was a pleasure to work with this evening with you and Miss Tiffany. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of you for being with us this afternoon. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Tiffany, for manning our box. And I'm gonna leave the presentation open for a few minutes. We ended a few minutes early. In case you still have not downloaded your handouts, I will leave the presentation going until 2:30. If you need to download your handouts, you have about 6 minutes to do so. If you have any other questions or comments, we are available to answer them if you place them in that questions box. But thank you, and continue to do the amazing work that you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure this evening to share this rocking and rolling why the infant teacher are so important.
Thank you again. We will be closing the webinar.
Thank you so much.